Now that Saros has been out for 2 weeks, people have had the chance to sink their teeth into the game and form their own opinions. And the conversation around this game is not what I was expecting in the slightest, my guy. Especially after I made a video glazing the game to high heavens not too long ago. The opinions on Saros are incredibly divided. On one hand, people are finding the game way more approachable. They feel like they get meaningful amounts of progression after each and every run, and love the feel and atmosphere of the game. Even if you're not a fan of roguelikes, this game still got some for you. But on the other side, we have mostly people that have experience with Returnal, Saros' prequel. According to them, the game is just far too easy and the runs feel way too similar to each other. And due to that and some other reasons, Saros just doesn't feel like a proper sequel to Returnal. But what of the opinion of a true scholar on the matter? As a self-proclaimed Returnal professional, let me give you the correct take on this whole situation. After putting around half a dozen runs into the game, I can confidently say that both sides are right on the money. But not for the reasons you might think. Saros improves on many aspects of Returnal, but I can confidently say that Saros has definitely taken some steps back in key areas as well. In this video, I'ma lay down exactly why Saros is not a real sequel, but an answer to everything that Returnal was, and why that answer might have not been the correct one in many spots. Let's get into it. Let's get into the biggest change made in Saros from Returnal. The permanent progression system. The skill tree is probably the differentiator between both games. The inclusion of the skill tree guarantees that you make progress each and every time you attempt a run. You could put up straight zeros all across the board and you will still be able to buy some upgrades on that thing. As long as you can kill like 5 enemies and collect the currency they drop, you can probably afford 3 upgrades or some in the skill tree. And you can really feel the upgrades as you keep buying them. Starting with more health on each run, better weapons, a bigger power bar, and even more health drops, you name it. As long as you collect some Lucenite on your run, you are guaranteed to come back stronger on your next one. The only problem is that this is the only way the main currency is used in the game. The money you collect during your run is unfortunately completely meaningless for the very run you're on and will only help you once you end it. I gotta say, this change is absolute dog water. I ain't gonna hold you. Having the main currency not affect your current run just sucks because it makes you care about it less. In Returnal, the main currency you got from defeating your enemies could be used to buy various suit upgrades and artifacts that would have an immediate effect on your run. It made it that more important to collect the money enemies drop. Because those 10 obolites could make the difference in you either buying that 25% health upgrade or not. In Saros, you don't have to stress to get the currency, because enemies drop hundreds of Lucenite, and there won't be a material loss in your current run anyways. This allows for less differentiation between each run, since there are no shops for you to buy stuff, and almost everything you collect won't help you now but later. The use of currency for the skill tree is definitely a huge step forward, but the softened impact of currency during your actual runs is definitely a step back. Speaking of step backs, let's get into the level design and overall difficulty. This is probably a weird point to claim being a step back, but just wait on it, let me cook. The level design in this game has a lot more verticality than most Returnal levels, at least in the open spaces it is. The actual arenas you fight enemies in though, my god, I don't understand why they made them so small. I mean, yeah, it bumps up the difficulty, but getting good in games like these requires you to learn how to avoid thousands of projectiles trying to turn you into Swiss cheese at any second. The small arenas make things a lot more compact, in a negative way in my eyes. But speaking of difficulty, this game is truly an odd case, because in my opinion, the better you are at this game, the harder of a time you're gonna have. While the worse you are at the game, the easier it will be in the long run. All this is due to the permanent progression system in form of the skill tree. If you do multiple runs and level that shit up, you'll have a much easier experience on your subsequent runs. While you'll definitely be having a harder time if you go through a level without dying, because you won't be able to increase your base stats like the person dying beforehand, at least not as often. Which is also further elevated by the fact that the game's levels are far more linear than Returnal's. In Returnal, rooms could have up to 6 connecting doors leading to other encounters or artifacts you could pick up. This also made strengthening yourself and especially your proficiency much easier during the same run. In Saros you just won't be as strong, since levels don't have that many branching paths allowing you to get your power up. This is a massive overcorrection to the feedback on Returnal's levels taking too long to get through. I get that they wanted to shorten the runs, but they've made going through the levels far too linear and one note. Unless you're constantly staying at a high adrenaline level and are lucky to have enemies drop stat boosts, you just won't be able to gain as much power in Saros during a run. But that is pretty hard because enemies are definitely a lot more aggressive compared to Returnal. Especially when it comes to their projectiles. Some of these projectile spreads are a bitch to evade, let me tell you that much. Which is even harder in this game because Arjun is slow as fuck. My brother in Christ, how is a space enforcer with a tactical suit in his mid-30s getting absolutely lapped by an astronaut granny pushing 60? How, Sway? How? Like my nigga can't even sprint. How do you not have a sprint in a game all about dodging bullets? What are we doing? This shit ain't making a lick of sense, bro. The only time you can actually sprint is out of combat, which is just so bogus, my guy. Anyways, let me calm down for a second. While the game gives you a lot of tools to deal with the enemies, like the 360 shield for example, it definitely balances all this out with the Eclipse system. Because once you turn that shit on, things are about to get messy up in the hill. Once the Eclipse hits, all enemies get corrupted and change most of their projectiles from blue to corruption-inducing yellow. They also deal more damage and are more aggressive in general. Turning on the Eclipse makes the game much more intense, and I haven't even mentioned the challenge rooms yet. Man. These challenge rooms really push you to the absolute limit, dog. Having to clear 3 high difficulty waves of enemies in very enclosed spaces is pretty damn hard, especially if most of these whack-ass stages have more holes than a block of Swiss cheese and are smaller than a motherfucker. It definitely is worth to do them since they refresh your second chance revive. Being able to get your revive back is a real game changer. But all in all, I'll definitely say Saros is the more difficult game off the jump. But after a few runs, the game definitely becomes a lot easier than Returnal due to the upgrades and the permanent progression system. But the level design is definitely something that was done better in Returnal. I'ma keep it a buck 50 with you guys. The weapons in this game are straight up garbojo, my nigga. I'm on the 5th biome right now, and I can honestly say that I found exactly 4 weapons that are good. Well, more like 2 weapons that are good and 2 that are okay at best. The Onslaught auto rifle and the Impact crossbow are just lesser versions of the tactical auto rifle and the repeater crossbow. All other weapons I've come across just suck straight ass. The weapons in Saros up to now just lack the sauce Returnal's weapons had. This is probably more due to the fact that the weapons in Saros are almost exclusively developed by the Soltari Space Corporation, while most of Returnal's weapons are literally alien weaponry. There is no weapon in Saros I've come across that could even compare to the absolute masterclass of weapons in Returnal. Hollow Seeker, legendary. Coil Spine Shredder, legendary. The greatest of all time, Pyro Shell Caster, legendary. That is what legendary weapons do. Saros' weapons just don't compare to them. And this game is just like Returnal, where borderline the biggest thing that is going to have an impact on your run is the weapon you're using. That weapon and the perk combo will decide whether your run is gonna have you looking like King Von wanting all the smoke in the world, or a little nigga visiting Weenie Ha Jr. with that fuck ass propeller hat. Choose wisely and hope you get something decent, because these weapons are good but not legendary like their predecessors. I had high hopes for the Artifact system, but they shot their shot with the system and missed entirely. Artifacts in this game are just not game changing at all. The effects are at best nice conveniences most of the time, like an increase to the stats or stunning surrounding enemies on a melee kill. There are some decent ones like gaining a shield when opening a container, but most of the stuff is just meh at best, and that's not even the worst part. During the Eclipse, where you'll probably be spending most of your time anyways, all artifacts you can pick up become corrupted artifacts. And these things, boy oh boy, they are some real stinkers, because they are unbalanced as hell. Every corrupted artifact comes with a very underwhelming buff, and an astronomically bad debuff. You can get something like an increase to 2 main stat with a trade-off that says increased dash cooldown.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, my guy. Are you out of your damn mind? The dash is your main evasive tool in this game. Making that thing less reliable is a shortcut to the end of your run. I can promise you that much. While you can clear the corruption aspects by defeating the boss at the end of the biome, the negative effects are most of the time just not worth risking it. The way to fix this would just be straight up overhauling the entire artifact system, like I outlined in my previous video. Stuff like double damage until you get hit in an encounter, or every third shot hits twice. Stuff that really makes your run different and really makes you feel like you're that nigga when you finally get that shit. The current implementation is definitely an overcorrection on people finding artifacts not impactful enough in Returnal. While they do up your damage through the stat increases, it just ain't enough, man. In its current iteration, I would take even Returnal's system over this any day of the week, bro. Housemarque, you guys can definitely do better on this, because this ain't it. I know I've been very negative in this video, but I would still recommend this game to anyone interested in roguelikes if they fuck with third-person shooters. The problem with the game is just that most of the changes are overcorrections from the devs to make the game easier to get into. A lot of people bounced off Returnal due to the difficulty and lack of progression between runs, and with everything I've seen in this game so far, they definitely went completely in the other direction, but they unfortunately just went too far. Good progression between runs, but not enough progression in runs, a worse selection of weapons, and an artifact system that just doesn't even hit as hard as its prequel. Couple that with a simplified level structure, and I can definitely see why people who loved Returnal would have issues with this game. Heck, I mean, I'm one of them too. What was meant to be a spiritual successor to the previous game has become more of a side grade than anything else. I still fuck heavy with Saros, but I do hope that they can maybe look at the artifact system and change the system for the map generation to make it less linear. That being said, this game is still my game of the year so far. The art direction and the moment-to-moment gameplay are things that carried over beautifully from Returnal. There's just nothing in the gaming industry quite like Returnal and now Saros when it comes to that. Oh, and the use of the DualSense in this game is just as phenomenal as it was in Returnal. When you play this game, you'll understand how a controller can be used to elevate the gaming experience to a whole new level. When it comes to recommending either, I will definitely recommend playing Saros first. The game is just a lot easier to get into and has a lot of systems to help you get better at the game. Returnal is a game where you just have to get good at it. So you should definitely start with Saros and then go on to play Returnal. If you fucked with the video, how about leaving a like and subscribing for more? I put out new videos all about gaming every week. This was the tale, and man, Saros truly is the weirdest sequel of 2026. Signing out.